podcast excellence since 2005. This is the King of Podcasts radio network, kingofpodcasts.com.
My fantasy has turned to madness, and all my goodness has turned to badness. My need to possess you has consumed my soul. My life is trembling. I have no control.
Woo! Hey, this is the Nature Boy Rick Flair. And believe it or not, whether you like it or don't like it, learn to love it, because you have to listen to Wrestling is Real. It is the best thing going today. Woo!
The worldwide leader of podcasting excellence, the King of Podcasts Radio Network proudly presents The Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.
Welcome to the Wrestling is Real podcast. This is King of Podcasts here with you. We're at it once again, and we are, next week will be officially the 12th anniversary of the program. 12 years exactly. When will I have started this program? I'll be recording the show on December 18th, which will mark the 12th anniversary of the program. And, you know, I'm really happy to go and say that I've been here, keeping on doing it, and no plans on stopping. Nope, nothing like that at all. Saturday Night Spin events coming up this weekend. And if you didn't understand what I said in the open, I was repeating lyrics from the song Obsession by the group Animotion. And that was from their self-titled album, released in 1984. And the song Obsession, that was their hit song that they had that, you know, did pretty well. And for whatever reason, that was something that was put out there by, for whatever reason, WWE decided to go, or WWF decided to go and use that song as part of Saturday Night Spin event as the initial song that was used to open the show. And the great montage that happened for about a good, you know, you get that first 90 seconds or so of promo after promo after promo, then the opener, and then you kick it off. And it's Vince McMahon out there with Jesse Ventura, whoever else he has out there, Roddy Piper, whoever it was. And that's what he's doing. The song did very well, by the way. It did hit number 6 on the Billboard charts back in 1985. So you're going to hear that song again as they represent Saturday Night Spin event, which has not been on, I think, since 2000, or at least the late 90s. It went to Fox. It faded away. They're not putting the show on during Saturday Night Live's time slot, which is originally where they used to put it from 85 to like 94, whatever it was. There used to be the 11:30 to 1 a.m. slot for Saturday Night Live. I'm surprised they're not putting it there because Saturday Night Live still pulls a good audience. They pull 4 million viewers on some of their best nights. I'm surprised they're not putting it there. But they're going to get the 8 to 10 p.m. time slot this Saturday. It will be live, unlike it'll be taped when it used to be taped before. And there is no competition to be had. I looked. Other than there's a couple of the championship playoffs for college football, they're not even going on right now. You got Division II games, Army Navy games earlier on the day, and I think there's one other game that's going to go on. I don't forget what it is, Senior Bowl, whatever it is. There are no major college football games scheduled, so nothing on Saturday night. No NBA either, because the NBA is preparing for the NBA Cup in Vegas, so that's not going to be a factor. It's NHL. That's it. They have no competition for them. So for Saturday night's main event, for themselves, they have to hope that if you want to get an audience to generate some buzz and really get some buzz towards Netflix, it's a no-brainer that this show should be able to go and pop a decent rating. My guess is they should be able to pull 2.5 to 3 million viewers on a Saturday night. I think they're going to probably be able to do that. Something tells me they might be able to pull that off when you're going to have the show they're going to put together. I mean, listen, I don't see Bloodline as part of the lineup here. I don't think that's been announced. But at least what they're going to have will probably do just fine because they already have a few matches taking place. You will have a triple threat match with Gunther, Finn Balor, Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight title. Cody Rhodes defending the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. And apparently he will be getting the Winged Eagle title, the one that Hulk Hogan used to go ahead and run with when he was doing Saturday Night Spin event in the 80s and the early 90s against Kevin Owens. And then Liv Morgan will defend the Women's World title against Io Sky. So it's Battle of the Belts, the way they do Battle of the Belts, or Clash of Champions, we used to call it, for WCW. AEW, they would call it Battle of the Belts. The difference is that with WWE, they're going to try to go ahead and recreate the original vibe, the original feel of the show. Stripped down. The entrance will not be like it was before. It'll be very simple. Jesse Ventura is coming back for commentary, which is going to get a lot of nostalgic heads like myself to watch. I mean, he's going to be a little bit rusty. We'll see how he does getting back into this again, but he's going to get all fixed up for it. He wants to go ahead and he's motivated Jesse Ventura to come back and do a nostalgia-ridden Saturday Night's Main Event. Okay, great. I'm wondering how it's going to sound. I mean, I'm sure he's going to be fine. And I don't know if it's Cole or if it's Joe Tessitore that will do the show. I'm guessing it's Cole. I'm not sure. But presentation, it's going to still be the current WWE type of show we have right now. For what it's worth, it's going to be that. It's not going to be anything else different from that. So really all you're getting is you're getting 3 championship matches, maybe some other things going on. No bloodline involved, by the way, in this. Nothing about that. At least we haven't said anything about it. They'll present the show, and they're going to be unopposed. This is a win-win situation for them. They just need to be able to pop a good rating. It's an event. They're getting a deal now where NBC is going to be carrying Saturday Night's Main Event 4 times a year, it looks like. Fine. Let's see how they do. They did put some quick magic together to go ahead and, after Survivor Series, to go ahead and build up for Saturday Night's Main Event. So the Triple Threat's been set up. For original was going to be Gunther and Finn Balor. Now you got to have Damian Priest to be added. And honestly, I think you need to do it because Finn Balor and Gunther's not going to carry on a show. Liv Morgan, Io Sky, it's just another opponent. It's not Rhea. They're not going to go to that. It's just, there's just so many things going on right now. Liv Morgan has already held on the belt for, I think it just held for 200 days. Mercedes Moné has held on to her belt in AEW for 200 days. All right. And I don't feel like either of them have really made much of a difference. I mean, Liv Morgan's obviously an important character right now on Monday Night Raw, but that belt doesn't matter. It's just a prop. I think she's defended it a couple of times, but really they have not paid attention to that too much. And when they have, it's Rhea Ripley has been the opponent, and, it's always been so much plunder in the matches that I don't know if we can ever see Liv Morgan ever go ahead and work a match right now while she's in Judgment Day that'll continue with that. It's still amazing that Liv Morgan went through the storyline that she did to get Dominic Mysterio, and now she conquers him. And it's like, okay, well, then we're just moving on from that. It's like the adulteress, right? The seductress, Liv Morgan. You would think that normally in a storyline, she wouldn't have gotten the guy. She wouldn't have won the title. That's a normal heel thing goes on. Rhea Ripley should have won, and Liv Morgan should not have made it to get close to Dominic Mysterio after all. Or should have just turned mad. But they decided to go this route. I don't know if it's worked at all. I think the steam on Liv and Dom has really slowed down a lot. It's just not important now. Rhea Ripley getting hurt and then coming back, and like just what they've been doing. They tried the Terry Twins and all this, and you stretched out the Judgment Day storyline with Damian and Rhea so long. There's really nothing else set up and ready. Not really. Because remember, we just came out of War Games. You had all these different stars there in the matches. Nothing was set up outside of that. Like, this is just a quick, let's figure something out here for Long Island for Saturday night. Let's get this out of the way. And then we got the Netflix debut. And as we look at it right now, Netflix debut is coming up in 26 days. What do they have ready? Royal Rumble's coming up at the end of the year. Coming up in February, right? Early February. So they got that coming up as well. Under 60 days for Royal Rumble. WrestleMania season's coming up. What seeds have been planted right now to get us going? As far as I'm concerned, there's nothing planted. They could start getting things planted up, but really, Cody and Kevin, this goes back to where they had before, and whatever. Doesn't make much of a difference. I just look back at the year, and I've been looking at past clips, and at the point that I started seeing things starting to go bad. Again, Netflix was such a great headline and such great news for WWE, also the sale, TKO, the closing, the finalization of the sale. All that was such wonderful news to start off the year. And I really reflect back to see where we were. And I listened back, and I just think of what I was talking about. We were on such an upswing. How did things go to such shit so quickly in the year? Early on in the year, before the Elimination Chamber, right? In the WrestleMania season, Bloodline, you have Rock coming back. Rock, Roman, speaking on stage, and they show the family tree of the Bloodline. And I'm like, shit, this is so good. And then, I don't know what happened, but let's go play back a couple of clips of what we heard from that time and how enthusiastic and positive I was just, early in the year. You got to sell yourself. You got to sell your soul to get there. Be completely company and, become the larger than life and be unapologetic of what you have to get through to get here. Because remember, both Rock and Roman Reigns were panned at points in their career. Remember, 2015 Roman Reigns, man, we were shitting on. I wasn't shitting on him. I still liked him. But the post-Shield Roman Reigns face that was out there, people did not like. They were shitting on him. And all of a sudden, look at all the work he's gone through to get the capital of this character that is now so adulated. He is the top dog, the biggest name right now in the company, in the country, and in all of wrestling right now. I don't feel that way about the here anymore. If he is, it doesn't feel like it. Like whatever vested interest that fans had right now in wrestling with Roman Reigns right at the top. This face turn has been a failure to me. It's been a failure. You bring him back, and then he goes on after the Bloodline, and then so many different efforts of failure on his part to try to get everything back, and then he finally wins at War Games, and okay, what comes next? You still have no consolidation of Bloodline together to bring it all back together. You just brought the band back together, the OG Bloodline, to create new merch. Again, NWO black and white versus the Wolfpack. It's all that once again. I just think back and I'm saying, man, they missed the boat on certain things, but things were at that point such a high. But there was going to be some trouble. After WrestleMania season, I was concerned. But anyway, another clip I talked about at that time about Cody Crybabies and the Tribal Trust. The effective main event swerve. They got someone as part of the Bloodline family tree. WWE actually did a favor to the entire wrestling world by really putting a microscope, magnifying the Samoan family, all of them, via blood oath. Brothers. So you got brothers via blood oath in this storyline. Let me tell you like this. When you look at who's in this mix right now, they got someone as part of the Bloodline family tree. WWE actually did a favor to the entire wrestling world by really putting a microscope, magnifying the Samoan family, all of them, via blood oath. Brothers. So you got brothers via blood oath in this storyline. Now, the thing was that this was before Jacob Fatu came in. And listen, I was fine. I was afraid that Jacob Fatu was going to be brought in. I didn't want to see him come in. He's been great so far, but I don't like him being the backseat of the entire Bloodline. He's obviously he's the most impactful star they have right now. And dare I say, he gets more attention because he's also the fresher face than the Usos and Roman Reigns. I mean, really, I feel like Jacob Fatu is the star right there of the entire Bloodline right now. The whole storyline is him. That guy, they should not be holding off on him. This is where Vince would go ahead and do the slow burn on Jacob Fatu. Triple H, you shouldn't be doing that. Put a rocket on that guy's back right now. Jacob Fatu should be excelling. This guy should be going after titles right now. Or do something where you're kind of keeping him under the shelf. You're kind of pushing him down, keeping him down at a certain level. But Jacob Fatu is going to go ahead and rise to the surface. He's going to overpower, and he's going to break away. I still would have preferred the one thing they did in this Bloodline Civil War in the last few months now, where Roman Reigns got the original Bloodline back with Paul Heyman. Forget the favor, forget CM Punk. Give me a rivalry with Jacob Fatu having to go ahead and choose sides. That is what I wanted. I would have loved that. But we never got that for whatever reason. And then the other thing that was going on is we had, the new ESPN guy that came in, and he's been doing his thing right now with WWE with the production changes. Remember, we got all into that. So again, once the clause of TKO coming in and making the changes, remember the start of the year, head of media production, ESPN alum, Lee Fitting. And then we had the changes in the production value. And everybody's looking at that. All that stuff. Nobody's talking about that anymore. We don't hear a thing about that anymore. That's done. When we went to Elimination Chamber, Drew McIntyre wins his chance to go after a title. Becky Lynch won to go after a title. Things were going okay. Like, we were still looking at certain stars that were being looked at. Important, wonderful. And then I put a story out, probably the last positive thing I put out there. Talk about why the Bloodline blows away every other WWE storyline. I mean, it wasn't going to last. At this high level, it was not going to last. But I think ever since they put out that great WrestleMania ending on night 2, they have not recovered. Not even close. I think it's like they blew the whole entire wad that they had on it. And they have had nothing. No contingency plan whatsoever. We're at a Saturday night's main event. Bloodline's not even to be considered right now. Nothing even set up for that. So we're getting Cody and Kevin that's been going after each other for months. Io Sky is like the heel of the month now going up against Liv Morgan. Well, I mean, Liv Morgan's the heel. So like Io Sky is the opponent of the month for Liv Morgan, right? And then Gunther, Finn Balor, Damian Priest. That's your star power for Saturday night's main event. Netflix will get Rock, most likely, I guess. Roman Reigns, they'll get John Cena. It's like John Cena's not coming back for the main event. No. Mm-mm. So this is like a very good Raw, very good SmackDown. You're not going to have the full firepower of the company. So if they're able to get pulled 3 million viewers, that's a high bar. That's the expectation they should get. Because there's nothing else going on that night. Normally you have Monday Night Raw, you have competition from you've got Monday Night Football. Friday nights you've had college football going up against them and other NBA action, other things that they've had going on all year. Right? Ever since they moved to the USA, of course, even with Fox, they also had other competition. But then Fox became competition for them because they had their college football games. And the ratings have not gone well. But now, they lost their way after the Bloodline storyline and the whole deal with Rock and Roman and Rock acknowledging Roman Reigns. And getting to that point. Play a couple clips in that. I just want to go and bring this point. We'll get back to Saturday night's main event and the other things that were being brought up leading up to the show coming up on Saturday, which I'm still thinking about. Am I going to go and do a post show? I mean, it's not a pay-per-view, but it is a live program and there's a lot of championship matches. So I guess I probably will. Poor Collision. That's not going to do well. I don't know if is Collision going to stay on at 8 o'clock? Are they still doing that? Oh, man, I don't know if they should run it. But what are they going to do? Collision's just not a show that's... Collision, I always thought was going to be destined to fail because of the time slot. Saturday nights, against everything else, man, you just don't have it. And there's a few things that AEW is doing right now that are necessary because of the erosion of the audience and what's going on right now with the live show. Atmosphere is not going well for them. They're just not getting anything out there that's really drawing. I mean, they're stale. They're very stale right now. And I got to talk about some of the things that they do with their program in terms of the pillars they start off with the year and where things are not going right with that either. And that was some of the things that I had to look at as well that it should be considered. But more AEW talk I'm going to do about for next week and the week after because we're going to do some year-end stuff. We'll go and do some backtracking on things. But now, back to the Bloodline and the fact that where things were, I want to say this was in late February, early March. Again, WrestleMania season. I was on a high with this right here. I really was. And putting The Rock in his place was the best part of this whole thing. Let's play it.
I need something from you.
Peak Roman Reigns.
I'll do anything for my family. But I need this one thing.
The stare. A deep stare. And then he says it. Wow.
Acknowledge me.
Man, that just gave me goosebumps when I heard it the first time. It's still like, what a shock. Good dramatic soap opera kind of shit. This is the stuff that we had with Sami Zayn before and how emotional the Bloodline was. This was emotion. This was the best part of the Bloodline from last year. We get it again in this moment. And The Rock has to think about it. And the cold stare on both of them. And putting The Rock in his place. Now, I got to do this here. So, March 7th was that clip. I'll play the second clip real quick. And just, again, what they did in that storyline is the last great thing that WWE did. And even when you hear Rock and Roman together in the ring and how they speak to each other, like the writing even sounds like it was like done correctly. Like the promos, what was being done in ring. It's the last bit of what the Bloodline storyline had left. And then we had the WrestleMania ending, and that was it. You can't top it. You can't surpass it. The Bloodline storyline being so well done, I would have said this. You could have just created a new Bloodline or something else and keep the Bloodline away. I mean, the idea of keeping him away and letting this new mutiny kind of thing, it could have been executed a lot better. Solo Sikoa wasn't the guy. He should have not been the figurehead. Should have been on the team, but not the figurehead. And the whole thing also of not having a wise person or somebody speaking for him, because Solo Sikoa needs somebody to speak for him. They all need somebody to speak for them. I mean, Jacob Fatu, I think you could definitely let him go and cut promos. Again, that guy's just he's just a wild hair terrier. That guy is he's a wild dog. He'll be out there, and that guy is just intense. Intensity personified is Jacob Fatu. Second clip. Okay, 2013. Let me tell you something. This is the best Rock promos we're getting of all time. This is the stuff of legends. The Rock is channeling his damn inner Ric Flair persona. Do you understand? This is so egotistical. He's being such a prick. He's being such an asshole. And it is great. It is lively, entertaining, and compelling heel promos coming off of here. And, I mean, Roman Reigns has been great, but damn, Rock is coming in full A game. Like, this is to make up for the fact that, listen, he's doing a tag team match, and they announced The Rock and Roman Reigns now in a tag team match against Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, night one of WrestleMania. Are we finally going to finalize that match? Are we going to get that up? We still got to find out what, did Cody and Seth say yes to it? I don't know if they did. But nevertheless, incredible back and forth with CM Punk. Now, here's the thing, too. So, Final Boss Rock, I'm going to say it right now. He is the best Rock I saw. The best incarnation of the Rock. You can all say Hollywood Rock. You can all say the People's Champ. People's Champ is great. But this Final Boss, old, bitter Rock, damn. I love it. Extra heel, extra asshole. Everything was fitting right with that. And that hit everything for me. And then it hit a glass ceiling. I said that when you have the stars they had right here, the setup for these matches, and they were at a certain spot, and then, you know what? This was a plateau. Like, there wasn't going to be much more they could do to surpass this. The best of the best they've ever done. What do you do after this? But we enjoyed that WrestleMania season. Damn, do we really enjoy it. I'm going to vacate this title to go up. Samoa Joe. Let's not forget, Samoa Joe was TNT champion, vacate. Actually, let's move along. That was another clip I had that mentioned the play. Watts would almost do a little bit. Like, it just felt like, but Bill Watts is much more militant, much more old school. I mean, Triple H, I'll give him credit. He is a little bit more in line with the times, but his mentality of who to book and who's going to go over is still the kind of the same thing. I do think in this year, it will be the year that Cody will get the comeuppance and he'll get to finish the story, and Cody will run as a babyface champion for however long it is. It doesn't matter how long that title run is, because of the fact that if he wins it, that's what matters. Now, the only problem is that we're at this point now with Cody, they don't have any opponents for him. They failed on that respect. I don't know what you do. Look, with Cody, you could have drafted over, let's say, CM Punk over and finally had those guys take on each other. Drew McIntyre's been so hot. He could have gone on and taken on one. But Kevin Owens here, because of the way they brought him into the fold, Kevin Owens was a babyface, been helping out Cody Rhodes in the Bloodline, whole thing, right? Bloodline is not a deal with Cody Rhodes anymore. Not even a factor. And the way they brought in Kevin is like, oh, well, you deserve it. And no, I don't want to do it. And this and that. And then all of a sudden they make the change. And we really haven't had that full drag out thing with both of them yet. It sucks, man, but this is what we have right now. But then things also changed around in the year when AEW pulled off a number of free agency hires. Okada, Ospreay, Mercedes Moné. Now, I realize now more than ever that those particular hires really pissed off the fan base. The toxic wrestling fandom we have right now, they really were triggered by this. On all those signings that did not go over, that Sasha Banks, why didn't she go back? Will Ospreay absolutely should have been a fit-in perfect for WWE. No. So Tony Khan had the money to go and buy all these folks. Has he used them well? I think Will Ospreay's done pretty good so far. I like what he's done with him. Mercedes Moné? No. She's been champion, and they've also not done a good job of like setting up a lot of great opponents for her either. Like, she's kind of wavering right now. For Mariah May, the end of Dynamite, we get the original Tony Storm character back in original form. You know, the black tape and all. Awesome. Great. Welcome back, Tony. We missed you. And she's no longer timeless. The timeless gimmick, retired, done. She's back to who she was. So that gimmick is done, fleshed out. She did it. God bless her. She's great. And people are happy just to see her back, because you know what? Now we just have even a greater love for this woman and for what she does in the ring, and knowing how much of a personality and what charisma she has. She showed us something amazing. And Thomas Tony Storm is one of the best things we had all year. When we lost that also hurt wrestling as well. But let me tell you, the toxic wrestling fandom, if you had to go and start hitting, what was it that really started it off? It's all these hires right here. It's those 3 free agency hires that really pissed people off. They were not pissed off at the company, because TKO, like if it was Vince, he probably would have put the money down to get them. But TKO Group is in holding right now, and they're up there, and now they're not getting them. They couldn't convince them to come in for whatever reason. We don't know the whole story. But yeah. And then I predicted, and it has been pretty consistent right now, and I think my prediction was very well said, that WrestleMania season withdrawal was going to be severe for the fanatics, for the toxic wrestling fandom. I already started calling them fanatics. Now we're at toxic wrestling fandom, because that's what it's become. It's become so toxic. And I said it even back in April. Yeah. Is anybody even talking about that? No, of course not. No, we're not thinking about the ahead of time. No, of course not. But I will always think about this. I will always think about the fact of, okay, this company, they want to keep the direction they're going. Where's the direction they have right now to build up an audience? Like, this investment they're going to get right now, all the money that they're getting, like, where's the storyline? Where's the appeal? Where is the impact of what WWE could be doing right now with their stars, with their storylines, with developing some characters. What have they done? They gave us the draft. Who's panned out of the draft? Braun Breaker, more or less, because, I mean, you know, that guy's stardom. You can't really kind of hold that down. You really can't screw that up. Tiffany Stratton, same thing. But who else? Of the draft, like, who has really come out and really done something? I mean, Carmelo Hayes has been kind of wavering. Lyra Valkyria, wavering. Kiana James, we don't even see her anymore. It's like they tried to bring some people over, see what they could be done. And it's like, you know, they're in a struggle right now. And of course, you can always go ahead and take Trick Williams, Roxanne Perez, and start moving them over. Julia, Stephanie Vaquer. I mean, they can always go ahead and, you know, call the bullpen and say, let's go and bring them on board. But WrestleMania season, we stretched out Judgment Day to no end. We stretched out New Day to no end. We brought back YS6 to no real fanfare. It's like, okay, it's kind of gimmicky and it's like just there on television and it's nothing else. You did the whole Sami Zayn thing from Alpha Academy to going after Gunther and then just like getting in the nose of people's businesses, whatever it is, as a face. I don't know. And then we go to Cody and his deal with the Bloodline. You stretch that out for as long as you can. And then you stretch out Cody and Kevin for as long as you can. And then CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, you go 6 months, probably too long. Or more, because obviously they were hurt. But you had to go and get the storyline in, but they decided to stretch that out to also no end. Wow. And we are still getting some new storylines, right? Drew and Sammy, CM Punk and Seth Rollins. Like, those are getting set up. Okay. I don't like Sami Zayn being involved. I just don't care. But they're always going to keep those four together in some way, shape, or form. That's just their plan. Like, for Cody, who is the opponent for WrestleMania? Like, who is the next person that you have in line that's going to be of that big hype that'll be up there? We're not getting Rock and Roman. We're not. We'll get John Cena coming back. What are they going to set up for him? Nothing's been handled that either. There's a lot of things, especially also the women's stuff they have. Oh, they created the new mid-card titles. Those are going to get lost in translation pretty quickly. They did that. Okay. We did get King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring. We did get matches out of those. You know, we got significance out of those matches because title matches were granted of those King and the Queen of the Ring winners. And then what else? LA Knight had his run as champion at SummerSlam, and a couple of things might have happened at SummerSlam, but really it was just an extension of everything else. Storylines stretched out as far as possible for the house show. For the house shows, not for television, because we saw after WrestleMania season, booking was not done for the audience watching at home. The audience watching at home officially after WrestleMania season became secondary. It's the fandom that's on social media and the house show crowd. That became the important factor for WWE in their business model. That's what it is. Another clip I had from the WrestleMania season withdrawal. We're going to play that real quick. Because what's been carrying all these shows is the Bloodline, Cody Rhodes, and Seth Rollins. That's it. The fact that CM Punk is back out here now, dealing with the whole deal with Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins, is because he needed him to help build that match up. We've already seen Cody and Drew a bunch of times. So you got to bring CM Punk back in, put him on commentary to give him something to do. And yeah, they brought it in because he was injured. So like they had a way to go and kind of incorporate him, use him. That's fine. But there were just so many things that I didn't understand overall. Becky Lynch, the fact they didn't want to keep her on. And I mean, what's really weird is that she's never gone anywhere else. Was that what she wanted to do? We had a whole lot of clips I talked about when it came to Cody completing the Championship Destiny. That was great. Then we had the security footage of CM Punk and really understanding the extent of how much CM Punk was a cancer in AEW. And I will continue to say we didn't really need this, but anyway, what are you going to do? But after WrestleMania season is when we really got to the social media following and how toxic it started to become. Because that's another thing That's the second factor in the year that really triggered the toxic wrestling fandom. Was all the shit with CM Punk, the Young Bucks, all that right there. And then the commentary about Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. Got a couple clips about that. Here's one. One of my videos a while back where I put a video out years ago. One of the earliest videos I did that went to my YouTube channel. It was a YouTube exclusive on the Wrestling Culture podcast. And my comments were about where I said why the WWE Attitude Era is never coming back. Okay. And I did get a comment that said, oh, this aged well. Once it's on Netflix, it's on. Okay. And trust me, I've been getting the hate right now pretty regularly. I had one that was from last week when I wrote about CM Punk caught on tape or the AEW effect on WrestleMania, which was last week's episode. I got a comment from One Smooth One who writes, you have no comments because you're not being honest about the Punk incident. Bye. No support for me if you can't be honest. Lame dork. Okay. So the comments are just coming at me anyway. I don't get as many as others because I don't stir the shit. I don't stir the pot. But obviously some people were just going to be upset about things. But yeah, the social media following, not too happy about my comments. And obviously you could hear me making a pivot because I was starting to feel like, okay, things are not going right. And honestly, I think the whole exposure about this here, the whole CM Punk thing, it's kind of been hovering over everybody's head throughout the whole year of wrestling. I really do. But they need to be built up. Give them the win records. Give them the dominance that they have. What makes them qualify as a contender if they would have been put up against Rhea Ripley in the first place? Well, we didn't get that part. We didn't get any of that. See, the other thing, too, was that Rhea Ripley was such a strong champion. And then this whole Liv Morgan thing just been like held over. And then she wins the belt off of Rhea Ripley. And then there was injuries and all. It was like so much more going on. Things just really went into a certain way. And I just wasn't happy about it. I don't know. And then the other thing I had to go ahead and say was what? While AEW was kind of working on different things, he always had a big run with Swerve Strickland as champion, where he won it at Dynasty in April. And I was like, yeah, that was great. You know, Swerve Strickland title run was quite good, culminating with the match with Adam Page, which was not title, but still, like the whole deal of Swerve Strickland and Adam Page and each other. The current thing right now with the Hurt Syndicate, it's still got to go somewhere. Like, we're still waiting on that. But post WrestleMania, man, I was just on it. Like, I was really just upset and just not happy of where things were going. And, man, I don't know. I wish I had more answers about what this was all about, what was going on. But, like, seriously, we had some issues going on. It was just not good. When you can consider that what you think is best for AEW, you're not worried about the other brand, about the brand that you support, the brand that you are loyal to through and through. You can criticize WWE all you want. You can also praise it all you want. But damn, can you also feel like you are entitled and privileged and you think that because you know everything that's going on, the way that WWE's always done things for you, that AEW has to be doing exactly the same? When you're wrong. And that was one of the most valid comments I still can't hold on to right now. The fan base we have right now, the younger part of the fan base is entitled and privileged. They feel like with social media, they have such a power to bash AEW at will and to praise WWE for mediocrity. I hate to say this to you folks, but wait for it. WWE is still mediocre. It's not good right now. And it's not because we're upset about certain stars getting over. It's because there's no storylines built up to back up these matches, to keep people like me emotionally invested. It's not happening right now. I don't feel any of that. Another clip. I think Trick Williams has all that he needs to get himself there, but the company now has to do the right thing by him and build him up. They can't just, okay, you build him up to be a credible champion, but now you got to give him something more to work off of because he's not going to have that belt all the time. WWE, do you understand that? There's going to be times where your stars are not going to have a fucking belt. What are you going to do to keep them over? I was talking about Trick Williams. Because at this point, I felt like, well, let's just see if Trick Williams could go ahead and pan out somewhere. Because what else did he have? What else was there? And that was the biggest problem I had. Was like, all right, let's move somewhere with this. But they didn't. They sure didn't. We got to the draft, and I'm like, man, it's like so much we need to go and see going on more for this company. But it's not. It's just kind of failing. It's just... You see the changes they made. They brought in Braun Breaker. They brought in Carmelo Hayes. And I'm like, the draft meant nothing. It continues to mean nothing. Let's just be honest with each other. I'll talk about that. But you know what? I respond to what the fans respond to. Because I'll see the reaction that the fans will have. Because I usually go along with quite a few of the stars that the fans will go along with. Because I like to think that, you know what? I would want to be booking shows. I would want stars that are going to get over. Because I like the stars to get over. Because that matters to me. Like, why am I going to go and cheer for a fan that doesn't get any kind of praise at all? Why do I want that? I want stars that are getting over. But some of you guys, you're going to, if you had them at an indie show or you had them in, wherever, some of the roster, some of the promotion, where they would get praised like crazy, like fanboy crazy. But all of you WWE fans, you have to remember that the fan base that is worldwide and the fan base that comes in that casually watches the show, maybe catches some clips here and there, they're not you. They're not diehard. They're not following this, trying to hope for certain stars to come in. Like underdog fans, I understand that part. Because you are like underdog fans. You want your certain stars to thrive. And you're pushing them so hard to think they're going to thrive. But when they're not ready. And when they're not made to succeed. Right. Now, I'm sure some of the toxic wrestling fans that might listen to this program, if you decide to, you've abandoned it, that's fine. Hell, I see my Twitter feed, my X feed's already gone down like 100 followers. Fine. No skin off my back. But I noticed that, look, of certain stars they have here and what they're going to do with them, who has really gotten over? Like overnight sensation, like they're the hottest thing since sliced bread. Who is there? It's the same people on top. The same people on top. And remember, we also had a thing where everything was going on with the company from the standpoint of they were going to do pay-per-views in front of all these live crowds overseas. So there was absolutely, positively no flack they were going to get from it. The Netflix crowd that's going to be coming up to watch this show, Nick Khan, the content officer from Netflix and others, talking about that overseas audience that's going to be watching live on Netflix. Because now you have an international audience that can watch the show live. They'll watch it any time of the day. So if they want to watch it 8 o'clock at night on Monday night and whatever time it is everywhere else, they can watch it live. You're going to have much more of an engaged fan base now, internationally. And they're not going to gel well with the American fan base, for the most part. This vocal minority that has been shitting on everything, that is not WWE, and they're just praising blindly what WWE is doing right now. Right? Moving along, I also talked about a serious starting lineup problem. Again, WrestleMania season, we're coming up to SummerSlam when I'm talking about this. And what's going on? What's going on? We're in a rough spot right now. Another clip here again. This episode was WWE suffers from a serious starting lineup problem. Here's a clip. Just think of some of the stars they had here. They put so much time in NXT 4 and then brought them into the main roster and tried to give them a main event push to be noticed. And they don't. And part of this is that in the last almost 2 years, Triple H has struggled to build that future crop of stars. and to rely upon the free agents that he brought on. Now, the free agents he brought on, let's be honest with each other, okay? My fellow podcast wrestling brethren, right? All of you fans out there, the fanatical fans that are, you're in your bubble of just what WWE gives you, right? Raw, SmackDown, NXT. You got to keep this in mind too. Because of the change of NXT, where the brand was no longer developmental, when the mindset of developmental territory was going and fading away, it became less important. Triple H wanted to build the Indie Fed, an indie federation within the WWE, right? And then when Vince and Bruce Pritchard and all took over, they changed it back to developmental. Now, it's obvious that Triple H does not want to make that developmental. He wants to continue to make this version of an indie promotion in NXT. That's what he wants. That's why when you have acquisitions like Julia and Stephanie Vaquer coming into the company, now he has the ID program. So it's basically, we're going to get the farm system back together. We're going to take some of these individual indie talents that are out there. We're going to get them onto exclusive contracts. They'll get to go and work they'll apply their trade out on the indies, and then we'll bring them in. And now, of course, the vocal minority is all happy about that. But this is not going to answer the immediate problem of the starting lineup and what they have. Because there is nobody ready to replace Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns. There's not. Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, they've been around for a long time. Nia Jax. All of the stars you see up at the very top. What are they doing? And then some, I just don't understand what they're doing where they're not kind of being pushed anywhere. Elliott had a big push. Now he kind of take a step back. You had Bianca Belair at such a high point, and she's been like stuck in this whole deal with Jade Cargill. And now they're not even going to get the whole Jade Cargill break because she got hurt. Legit hurt. And they try to go and hide it. Oh, that wasn't happening. Well, I guess she is hurt. Another clip from that same episode I was talking about. This company should be able, with all their resources, to be able to build talent pretty quickly. In an age where we have social media that makes things viral so quickly. Look at the effing Drake Kendall Lamar rap feud. The rap beef between them. In the last week, we had song after song after song, and we were just going into this thing, and it's like we couldn't even hold ourselves in one place and really take enough time to take a breath and just really take an idea of what this is, this historical feud between these two big rap stars of the day. We didn't have time to think about it, but they're like running at, turtle speed, slow moving. And that's been like that all year long after WrestleMania. I don't understand why they want to keep stretching things out like it is, but they are. And they're struggling so bad with it. So I got a few other things I want to bring up, and then I'm gonna probably do a post show for Saturday Night's Main Event. I will do one. Okay, I'll be home. I'm gonna watch it. I'll do it. It's fine. We'll do a recap right here. KingofPodcasts.com. You go ahead and find that. So there were a couple of things that were going on, a lot of announcements and stuff, because All in Texas was announced this week, and Tony Khan did quite a few interviews and he got some things out there and was speaking about things. First of all, I need to make a point of, I don't even talk about it that much, but whatever. All right. One of the things I should mention, somebody was actually talking about this on X this week, was the fact when Cody Owens in the angle on SmackDown Friday night stomped on Cody's ankle twice, and then Cody started to stand up immediately and started delivering punches and a suicide dive. So no sell the ankle injury. No sell the stomp on the ankle. That wasn't done. And then Kevin and Cody keep going after each other and whatever. Yeah, big pull apart brawl, but still. You had that right there. And Cody does not sell the ankle. Nothing. Just look back. And also he does a jump on and whatever. And there's also people getting upset at the fact that on SmackDown, DIY beats the Motor City Machine Guns. And now there we go. Motor City Machine Guns lost their tag titles. Done. And so people were upset that Motor City Machine Guns dropped the belts. They came in, won the belts immediately, dropped them only months later. And there was that. Dave Meltzer's been having to go and defend himself with all the things that are going on right now, right? Oh boy. somebody writing about WWE being likely sued for sex trafficking. The fans, we don't know the whole story. Vince is gone. She's after money. And then AEW extending a contracted talent with the rights within the rights of the agreement. And the fans are like, look at this inhumane treatment. Somebody else comes out and says about with Dave Meltzer when it comes to everything going on right now with AEW and WWE, right? And with the whole Rey Fenix situation, which I didn't want to bring up anything about. Everybody else could go and talk about that again. That whole intrigue. Look, Rey Mysterio was held under contract past his contract time because of injury. Vince did the same thing. So Tony doing it is just common practice. But the toxic wrestling fandom, it's like we're revisionist history. Okay? We're not going to remember that Rey Mysterio had that or somebody else had that problem. That's what they're going to do. People are getting upset and Dave Meltzer having to go and complain about the fact that Kyle Fletcher beat Will Ospreay in a back and forth match. And you also had Shelton Benjamin in the match, and that Shelton was being pushed as a top guy just because he's a former WWE guy, and the whole pointing of that part. Eric Bischoff making comments on Ariel Helwani. I'm not going to even talk about that. And then Tony Khan talked about with Eric Bischoff, well, they're going to be the longest wrestling show promotion on TNT. You know, things like that. It's like the back and forth, all this, right? Somebody else I look at from X, talking about the fact that Tony Khan's not obligated to help WWE stale product by sending them an influx of talent to help shake up the shows. Yeah, that's the other thing too. So we already know that Pentagon El Cero Miedo, Pentagon Jr., whatever, he now has joined, he is signed with WWE, he's under contract. I guess they're waiting for Rey Fenix to come in. They're going to bring him as Lucha Brothers instead of having them separately. It doesn't matter. Pentagon alone has been a great single star, all right? He was Impact Wrestling champion. He was Lucha Underground champion. And he had great runs by himself before I even saw Rey Fenix. Again, I remember Rey Fenix came in after the fact. I didn't even see him until, I think, right before AEW or was it Ring of Honor, I think it was. But I didn't see him until then. But everybody's like more about Rey Fenix. Like, but again, it's just, it's going to go after the people that just go after the people. That's what they want to go and do. And that's it. Now, well, they didn't have much to go and say about when it comes to Rey Fenix, but obviously other people have had their comments and they've been running with it for a while. That's okay, fine. So again, the promotions have been going out there, talking about there's various things. All in Texas is going to get a big crowd. Sounds like. Tony Khan was on Sports Guys Talking Wrestling and says that he's working on a TV deal for Ring of Honor. I hope he is, because right now I think he's getting definitely sidetracked from what he's doing right now with storylines and all leading up until the new year, because it's just not great. So you already talked about AEW resecuring their huge media rights deal, staying with Warner Bros. Discovery for the near future. Great. And he says, I think there's a lot of interest right now with Ring of Honor. I've had great conversations with TV partnerships with Ring of Honor. And the fact that Chris Jericho beat Mark Briscoe on an episode of Dynamite in October, second reigning Ring of Honor World Champion. And the last time that Jericho was Ring of Honor World Champion, there were rumors that the promotion also had a TV deal being shopped around. One did not materialize, and Khan opted to rebrand ROH's previous streaming service, Honor Club. Also, Ring of Honor has Athena as one of its world champions, as one of the only big exclusive names that Ring of Honor has. She's been a stalwart since 2022. She's held on to the Ring of Honor Women's World title for 730 days, 24 successful defenses. Great. Yeah, she's awesome. And I'm sure there's a lot of other companies would love to have Athena right now, because she's been booked very well in that company. No problem there. One of the very high spots there is. The latest news when it comes to Rey Fenix and AEW, taking this from WrestlingNews.co. There's been cryptic tweets coming out from Phoenix alleging inhumane treatment and a denial of medical care by the company. And Phoenix took to social media with claims that he was treated poorly and denied access to a doctor when needed, though he did not directly name AEW in his posts. And AEW declined to comment, a policy they said was citing against commenting on medical claims. Fightful Select reported that AEW has expressed surprise at Phoenix's public statements, with one acknowledging communication issues but denying knowledge of any inhumane treatment. Another source refuting Phoenix's claims entirely, saying they were an attempt to portray himself favorably amidst rumors of the Lucha Brothers negotiating with WWE. But no matter what, Pentagon has now joined. He signed, as we've heard the reports for, but Rey Fenix is still under contract, but he's not going to be working probably while he's injured, I guess. I don't know what's going to happen with him. And, of course, there's been commentary about Ricky Starks hasn't been used right now too much. Sammy Guevara being put over in Ring of Honor. All these things were like, okay, some of the people that there's been reports that because of their allegiance to CM Punk with everything that happened didn't bode well for them, right? One other thing I'm going to bring up here as we look at things right now, AEW Sportster's actually talking about this fact that AEW is having to come to reality. They have to go and come to the crossroads and realize they can't run the big arenas right now. They've been running college-size arenas. They never went for big arenas all the time, but they've had to start doing things where they've had their issues with lackluster storylines, ratings, and attendance. They've had their issues as well. So, not able to book big arenas right now. They're going to start taking smaller arenas once again. Hammerstein Ballroom is one example, right? Among other things, but they'll still have bigger shows anyway because they can still do it. Dynamite, they could probably still do shows at big arenas. Collision, now we won't have a Rampage anymore, but I think with Collision and all that, what they're going to be doing with that, I think we could see something more where they got to figure out what to do with Collision. I don't know if you can keep it on Saturday nights. I don't know what you do, but something's got to be figured out. So we know that attendance for WWE right now is hot. They're at WCW 83 weeks level right now. They're at a fever pitch. They're not doing great. But again, they're on the tail end of the 83 weeks era that WCW had. The Bloodline storyline is not holding up right now. I don't know what they're going to do. But they're seeing right now that not too long ago, Dynamite could have 6,000 fans or more in the arenas, but now you're getting half of that. According to when you look at WrestleTix, you can see that they're struggling to get those crowds to kind of build up. Collision, the same thing. Every quarter of 2024 for Dynamite has seen a 20% drop in attendance, near half for Collision. Now it's really it's obvious now. So AEW is going to be booking smaller venues. And yes, they don't need to be WWE, right? They don't need to go that loud. They don't need to be that big. They tried house shows, didn't do too much. AEW going to Indianapolis. Most recently, they went to the Corteva Coliseum, 6,500 fans. December 4th, they went to the Fishers, Indiana. Went to the Fishers Event Center. And AEW's been able to go and pack the smaller arenas, which they were doing some of those, but they also kind of went a little bit bigger on the arenas. They were trying to go ahead and expand. And it was premature. Totally premature. But they've been doing some changes to where they're running shows. They did have the residency at eSports Arena, Arlington, Texas, which did well for them. But it did make Collision feel like a small show. Collision was actually being booked for Columbus, Ohio's Nationwide Arena, but it would have been not good look for them. So they're going to the GalaxyCon and holding it at the same convention center. Smaller space, but Collision came off unique and inviting rather than depressing to look at. And we said Christmas episodes of Dynamite Connection will be taped at Hammerstein Ballroom, and we'll see how it looks on TV. But right now, yeah, whatever Tony Khan was doing and the team there at AEW was doing to book the bigger arenas, they're going to have to scale back. Because when the product is not that hot, listen, they had a good run, man. They're going to have their downs. WWE's going to probably get their downs as well. They're going to hit a point where it's not going to be as popular. The ups and downs for a company like AEW, that's normal. TNA had it too. It's just how it is. Like right now, I think NWA is in a bit of where they're kind of like rebuilding and kind of work their way through. MLW, the same thing. Like just, it's the whole wrestling industry right now. To feel like in a down space, in the middle of a downturn. Overall, it really happened. And I think for the crescendo that we had at WrestleMania season where we start off there, it was just big difference. But it doesn't take away from the delusion that WWE is going to continue to go ahead and say. Kevin Owens speaking out there leading up to the Saturday Night's main event. And he talked about that there's a renewed excitement around the WWE, and the industry has once again captured the mainstream spotlight. So this is coming up from Collider.com. He interviewed with the folks there, Chris McPherson, and he also says that the fact that WWE's resurgence in popularity isn't just a coincidence, it's just the result of years of hard work. And he credited the collective effort of the roster for the recent uptick in fan engagement. Quote, it's just really about how hard everyone's worked for so long, and eventually things have kind of lined up right. People started to pay attention more and realize the show's pretty great. There are a lot of talented, hardworking guys and girls here, giving it all their single every week. What an ambassador. He's just saying just like he should, right? He's also said there's a shift in the direction of recent years behind the scenes with the disposal of certain individuals that caught the attention of mainstream media, bringing new fans back to the product. Yeah. But it's really, I mean, Kevin, I understand what you're saying there, but like, it's a fan base that was still watching anyway. They kind of might have been like taking a step back, but still, because Vince is no longer there, then I think there's some people that really feel like, well, there's a fan base that also probably kind of dropped off because now Triple H is taking over. And what they're doing, they may not have liked the NXT product they've been seeing the last 5 years. Maybe it was that. Because Triple H obviously doesn't want to do gimmicks. He doesn't want to do larger life characters. He doesn't want any of that. He wants to go with the TKO model and we're just going to create wrestlers. We're going to create a sports product. But we're going to do it with all these folks right now that have been wrestling-oriented sports entertainment for all their careers. And they think, well, this is going to work. There's not much more I'm going to say. I'm just going to leave it all there. But again, I did a little bit of a comprehensive year in review with this program because really to leave up the fact of what we got for the year, and now we're culminating it with the last major TV event for WWE, because it's not a TLC pay-per-view. It's not a pay-per-view in general. We're just going to get Saturday Night's main event to go and take that spot. Okay, we'll see how that works out. And we'll see if it's going to be any good. But we'll wait and see what they're going to do this weekend. Again, Saturday night. It's an 8 o'clock start. Not a Saturday Night Live start. I was actually surprised by that. But then also we're just going to find out where they're going to go with things and how it will look out. Like, I'm curious. Again, the rating they're going to get. They got to pop a huge rating. It's important for Netflix to see when there's nothing in the way. The fan base should hope for it. The Toxic Wrestling fandom, they should hope that it's like a 5 million viewership. Because if it's not, we got problems. So come back this Saturday for another Wrestling podcast. Recap of Saturday Night's main event, because wrestling needs us.